My name is M.A.M.Z and I make weird music. About 5 years ago, I made somewhat of a tutorial for the Raga Puriya Dhanashri. Today, I won't go into much details of it, but here's the basic scale. I want to do more of these Raga tutorial type of videos, but I also want to show the practical applications of it. So, I have a plan for a series in my mind. I will make a lesson video for a particular Raga, and for another following video, I will make some music based on that particular Raga. Then, I also want to invite some of my friends to make music based on that particular Raga and explain their songwriting process. So, I wanted to start with Raga Puriya Dhanashri, for which I already have a lesson. I invited my good friend Dr. Whom the First for the very first challenge. Doc is an amazing avant-garde musician who is regularly participating in the Ben Hugo Song Challenge as well as the Magpie Pirates collabs. Now, he isn't someone who regularly thinks of music in terms of scales and notes. He is more of a timbre, sound and mood kind of person. So, I thought it would be interesting to see what he comes up with when given a challenge that is much more traditional. I had of course told him that he does not need to follow the norms of the Raga or of Indian classical music at all. I knew he was going to find his way of morphing the Raga into his own way of expression and into something that we can probably not even imagine. I'll let him talk about it. You ready, Doc? You can come here, Doc. Yes. Doc isn't here. I'm just pretending. I'll add it in later in the editing stage so you will think he's actually here.
M.A.M.Z first talked about this idea of doing a Puriya Dhanashri Raga and wanted me to participate. I was very worried about doing this because my understanding of music theory in general is very minimal. I expressed this concern and it didn't seem to bother M.A.M.Z at all. He showed me the lesson video that he had and pretty much told me to follow my instincts. I still had a hard time grasping the concept for this Raga and decided to do a little bit more research. And the impression I got was that the Raga had a scale that ascends to the octave and then descends back down, and it repeats this pattern in the scale of notes. If my assumptions are correct, it's up to the player to improvise the way that the notes are played as long as it follows the ascending and descending scale. I later found out that's not the case. Ideally, I wanted to use a sitar and a tempura, but I don't have access to those, so I decided to use an acoustic guitar that was tuned to C, G, C, G, C, and C. And I could just play this in the key of C. I would use the two high strings for my leads as if it were the sitar, and the bottom four strings would ring out like a tempura. I added reverb to the track to enhance the droning aspect of the song. I decided not to do any bending because I knew I would overuse that technique and neglect others like dynamics and tempo. I did some improvised practicing just to get my hands used to the scale, and once I was comfortable enough, I decided to record the entire song in one take. My theory was I would really have to listen to what was coming out and then react to that. If I made a mistake, then I would have to play off of that mistake, which really adds to improvising in general. In fact, there is a point in the song where I change the lead line from the high strings to the lower strings, and I messed up the ascending and descending order, and I felt like I was already too far into this just to give up and do another take, so I gave that portion a more like heavy rock influence before going back to the high strings for the lead line again. For the majority of the song, I decided to focus on the dynamics and the tempo changes. The tempo changes weren't based on subdividing or any specific time signatures. It was mostly kind of like this, okay, let's play fast, and at this point let's slow down, and I just kind of went with that just to keep myself and the listeners on their toes. I think I did about 7 different takes before settling on this one, and even though I felt like I messed up a traditional raga, it was still fun to push myself into learning something that I wasn't familiar with, and there were some discoveries where I think I'll have to keep them in mind for the next time I'm working on a future song. Anyways, here's my interpretation of the Puriya Dhanashri Raga.
Now, let me tell you about my song. Over the years, I have made many different songs in the Raga Puriya Dhanashri. I, being the ultimate opportunist, decided to pick one of those songs and record it. There was one song that I had started in 2020 just before the pandemic hit. The lyrics was written long ago, probably like 15-ish years ago, but the music part of it was composed much later. I don't think I have ever performed this song live anywhere because I always had elaborate instrumental ideas for the song which I could never pull off. In 2020, I called on a drummer friend Neil and decided to work on it. I didn't want the song to be recorded to a click, so I first recorded my acoustic guitar and then Neil tracked his drums over it. Our plan was to add bass, lead guitars and synths over it. I also had a plan that every instrument should take a solo. So when we were recording the drum solo was already done and we had left spaces for solos for all the other instruments. However, as the pandemic started to rise, working on the song just got pushed back and soon forgotten. So for this project, I picked up the pieces from the 2020 sessions. I found the video footages, but as for audio, I could only find a combined track of both the acoustic guitar and drums. I could not locate the individual stems of the drums and the guitars as it was not recorded on my computer. The very first thing I realized was that the instrumental ideas were too elaborate and having a solo for each instrument was making the song unnecessarily long. The drum solo was already there, so I decided I would only have a guitar solo added to it. So I got to work putting all the other instruments together. I started with the bass, but while recording it, I realized that I also wanted a low C note on the bass. So I recorded a 5-string bass from another friend. But again, when I was recording this 5-string, I realized I was missing the grooviness of the 4-string bass. And whenever we can't decide between two things, there is only one solution. Have them both! Yes, you heard that right. My song has two basses in it. A super low 5-string just playing the low C note and my regular 4-string bass playing the main groove of the song. After that, I wanted to create a wall of sound to be the backdrop for everything else. So I first recorded the Hammond B3X organ from IK Multimedia, a 3-layered mellotron again from IK Multimedia's Sampletron, and then a tanpura from the Native Instruments India library. After that, I started doing the vocals. I remember long ago when I was recording a demo for this song, I had double-tracked the vocals just like John Lennon and I had liked that sound. So I did the same here as well. For the guitar solo, I decided to challenge myself by trying to play on the fretless guitar. I'm still not too good at it, so please excuse the untunedness. Finally, when it came time to mix the song, I realized that I had bit off more than I could chew. For someone who almost never uses more than 8 tracks, it was way too many instruments, the mix was sounding muddy, the two basses were fighting each other for space, the drums were getting buried, it was all a mess. So I again reached out to Doc, who offered to help to mix the song. He took over from my half-mixed song and made the song sound much better. Anyways, here's the song. Apologies I chant, but no one seems to hear. Mistakes of my past, they driving me a fear. Running away from me are my loved ones and dear. The shadow of the past is the only one near. emotions of friends, they condemn me to hell. Cannot leave behind my deeds were so frail, surrounded in my sinful shell. Welcome back! Did you like the song? Did you like the song? Did you like the song? Because if you did, then you should subscribe! Tell me in the comments below if you have any suggestions for future episodes of this series. I think I personally enjoyed doing this song and would love to do more of these kind of collabs and these kind of challenges with more friends. I hope this inspires you to make some music with different Indian classical ragas or different scales from across the world and implement it in your own way. Just like how I am inspired by my friends like Doc, who are always inspiring me with their own musical works. My favorite song of his is called Gas Leak. It is a very creepy song with constant whispers in my right ear and the constant sounds of gas leak. It's got very eerie melodies of the guitar, synths and vocals, as well as sudden shocking noises thrown in between the song. I'll leave a link to his song in the description below. Please do go and listen to this song of his, and if you'd like, do support him on Bandcamp. Speaking of Bandcamp, I too have a Bandcamp where all my music exists. There is also a sitar sample pack in Raga Bhimpalashi if that is of interest to you. By the time this video is out, I might also have released my first ever solo album on major streaming platforms. So please go and listen to that as well. Because doing all of this is definitely gonna help you to stay untuned. Okay, bye.